Welcome, students. Today we're going to learn about volume of specifically just a cylinder. I'm going to keep it very simple, only give you one lesson. You should be able to get it done fairly quickly and not have any homework over spring break, as long as you've been keeping caught up. Okay, so the volume of a cylinder, unlike surface area, volume is how much material is enclosed in the entire thing. Now we're only going to do cylinders, which has a circular base, is what they call it, and then a length or height of the cylinder. So, and it's a very simple thing. What we want to do is we want to find the area of the base. That's this pi r squared. So pi r squared is the area of the base. This pi r squared here is this area of this base. Then once we find the area of the base, we got to multiply by how far down it goes. Okay, so we multiply by the h. Pi r squared is the area, h is the height or length of the cylinder. If this formula here is a little confusing, I sometimes like to write it this way, where I just take to find the volume, I just take the radius, times it by itself, times it by the height or length of the cylinder, and then times it by 3.14. And that gives me the volume. So let's look at a simple example here. We have a cylinder that has a radius of 5. It has a height of 8. And so all I need to do to find the volume, if it's asking for volume, is I take this radius here and I times it by itself. That's the 5 times 5. Then I multiply by the height. So then I times by 8. And then I multiply by 3.14. And then I multiply those out with the calculator. 5 times 5 times 8 times 3.14 gives me 628 cubic yards. Very, very simple process. You should be able to fly through these problems very quickly. Radius times itself times height times 3.14. But there will be some that might try to confuse you just a little bit. Here's another example where I want to emphasize here that they don't give you the radius. They give you the diameter. So how do you find the radius from the diameter? In other words, when I go to plug in r, I'm not doing 30 times 30. I need half of this. So it's going to be 15 on each side, or the radius is 15. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take half the diameter and multiply the radius by itself. Then I still multiply by the height, 17. I still multiply by 3.14. Use a calculator, 15 times 15 times 17 times 3.14 gives me 12,010.5 cubic yards. So again, be careful if they give you the diameter that you don't use that accidentally as the radius. You cut it in half. The next thing that they might do is they might give you the actual volume and ask you to find the radius. Okay, so now I prefer to use the original equation that they give you. The volume equals pi times the radius squared times h. Now, right, like I said, they gave us h and they gave us the volume. So what I did is I replaced v here with the volume up here, right here. So I replaced v with 8,167.14 equals, I put in 3.14 for pi. I don't know r, that's what I'm asking for, so I left the r squared alone, and then I replaced h with 9 because I knew the height. Now what I did is the first step I do is I get rid of this 3.14. I divide both sides by 3.14, so that this 3.14 is divided, not sure why that's not writing. It's dividing over to this side. I brought it over by division. And so it's gone from the right. And when I do this division with the calculator, I just took 8,000, that's supposed to be a comma, by the way, 8,167.17. When I divided that by 3.14, I got 2,601 equals the r squared times the 9. Then I do the same thing with the 9. I'm going to divide the 9 over, bring the 9 over. And since it's multiplication, I divide by 9. That leaves just the r squared. When I take the 2,601 divided by 9, the r squared equals 289. Now I have an r squared equals 289, so I need to undo the squared. The way I undo a square is I square root. So when I square root both sides, the square goes away. I'm left with just r on the right, and the square root of 289 is 17. So I just found that the radius of this figure is 17. I've walked through all three types of problems you might see on the IXL lessons. If you need to rewatch this or write a few of these notes down, do so. And if you have any questions, please log on at 1 o'clock or email me to set up another time to meet. And I hope you get this done quickly and have a good spring break. And we will see you in a week and a half almost.